The new S-Class, the new luxury, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz.
MYAirline, a newly established ultra-low-cost carrier, is expected to be launched soon, according to sources. A check on the Malaysian Aviation Commission's website by the edgemarkets.com showed that the new ULCC, which had been previously registered as Z9 Elite, has been granted conditional approval for an air service license on December 22nd, 2021. The ASL is valid for 12 months from January 1st, 2022. According to the source, MYAirline's plan is to build an airline business in Malaysia and maybe challenge Air Asia for dominance. The source explains that now is a good time to start a new airline as aircraft lessors are desperate for business, which means cheaper leasing rates, while pilots and flight crew who were retrenched during the COVID-19 pandemic can be hired at reasonable rates. MYAirline's filing with the Companies Commission of Malaysia revealed that its shareholders are Zillion Wealth, Trillion Cove Holdings and Rainer Teo Keng Hock. Its directors are Datuk Goh Huan Hua, Datuk Abdul Hamid Muhammad Ali, Datuk Sri Azharuddin Abdul Rahman, Jyoti Prakash and Raina. According to sources, Goh is believed to be the financial backer of this venture and is a shareholder of both Zillion Wealth and Trillion Cove. Three of the directors also have extensive experience in the aviation industry. Abdul Hamid was previously the CEO of Malaysia Airport Holdings between 1992 and 2016. Azharuddin was formerly the Director General of the Malaysian Civil Aviation Department and former chairman of the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia between 2008 and 2018. Teo was previously Air Asia's group head of sales and distribution from 2004 and 2020. The entry of a new ULCC was first cited by CGS-CIMB Research in a report on January 17th as a potential derating catalyst for Air Asia. The report said that the ULCC had signed deals to lease two Airbus A320s at cheap leasing rates. HSBC says that Bank Negara is expected to hike the overnight policy rate by 100 basis points between 2022 and 2023 in anticipation of Malaysia's firmer labour market and higher inflation. This as Asia is seen registering stronger domestic demand as the world economy recovers from the impact of COVID-19 driven movement restrictions. In a statement, HSBC said that as the labour market strengthens, the country's core inflation may gradually trend higher to 2% by end 2022, which would allow BNM to initiate a gradual monetary tightening process in the second half of 2022. This seems broadly in line with a Reuters poll of 23 economists who feel that BNM will keep its OPR at its current historical low of 1.75% until end June. HSBC's co-head of Asian economics, Frederick Newman, says that for 2022, HSBC expects BNM to raise OPR by 50 basis points on domestic demand recovery. HSBC also believes the Malaysian economy is one of the brighter outlooks in the region and expects GDP growth to rise to 3.6% in 2021 before accelerating to 5.6% in 2022. The recent major floods that ravaged the nation resulted in an estimated 5.3 billion to 6.5 billion in losses, according to Minister in the Prime Minister's Department of Economic Affairs, Datuk Sri Mustafa Mohamad. Mustafa says this was based on a comprehensive study on the impact of the floods conducted by the Department of Statistics Malaysia. He elaborates that around 500 million to 600 million of these losses were in the form of damage to business premises, while residential property damage accounted for 1.2 to 1.4 billion ringgit. Vehicular damage, meanwhile, was estimated at 1 to 1.3 billion ringgit. Damage to the agricultural sector ranged from 40.9 million to 49.9 million, while manufacturing losses from the floods came in at between 800 million and 1 billion ringgit. Damage to public assets and infrastructure were estimated at around 2 billion ringgit. Mustafa said that in terms of public infrastructure, the government has begun repair work. Work has also started on rebuilding houses that were damaged or totally lost. The government is also providing interest-free loans for the businesses that suffered during the floods so as to enable them to resume operations. Sunway Property is eyeing 2.2 billion in sales and 2.3 billion in launches for 2022 after seeing its highest ever sales of 2.55 billion in 2021 despite the COVID-19 pandemic. The record performance was attributed to its sales in Singapore, although Sunway Property MD Serena Chia says the group saw commendable sales across all segments. She also highlights the group's 4 billion in unbilled sales, almost twice the 2.2 billion it recorded in the preceding year, providing earnings visibility for the next 2 to 3 years. On its planned launches for the year, the group said almost 70% of its launches will be in Malaysia, while the remaining portion will be overseas in Singapore and China. Chia says the developer will continue to invest in its existing townships while also launching new developments in high-growth areas, priced from 310,000 ringgit onwards. It will also be expanding its Sunway Medical Centre in the Klang Valley and proceeding with the construction of Sunway Medical Centre, Seberang Jaya. Sunway Property is planning to establish 8 integrated wellness hubs across high-growth regions, anchored by Sunway Medical Centre, with Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund GIC as an investment and strategic partner. The group currently has land bank totaling 3,334 acres, with a potential GDV of 4 billion ringgit spread across 4 developments. NWP Holdings and its wholly owned subsidiaries have launched legal action against its managing director Datuk Sri Kee Soon Ling and independent non-executive director Yu On Chong over alleged fraudulent transactions undertaken by them from 2016 to 2021. In a statement, NWP said it had filed a written statement of claim at the High Court today after new management discovered a series of fraudulent transactions undertaken by the two individuals, which it said caused the company to suffer losses and damages. NWP is also alleging that Key and Yu authorised the fraudulent transactions to be recorded in the company's consolidated financial statements from FY16 to FY21, and they were submitted to Bursa Malaysia. Under the lawsuit, NWP and its subsidiaries is seeking a 6.5 million ringgit in total damages and an order to bar the defendants from being a director of the company for 5 years and prohibit them from exercising the voting rights attached to the ordinary shares of NWP. Meanwhile, NWP says that it has resolved to terminate the services of its share registrar, One Capital Market Services, with immediate effect. This is to preserve the integrity of NWP's record of depositors, which it claimed had been leaked to third parties on January 10th without its knowledge, consent and authorization. In a boss filing, the timber company said it had commenced investigations as to how and in what manner the third parties had access. The ROD contains NWP shareholders' personal information such as their full names, Central Depository System account numbers, IC numbers and addresses. The company says it will engage with the regulators and authorities for further action upon completion of the investigation.
This program was brought to you by Mercedes-Benz.